Hi friends, today what we're going to do is we're going to wire in some charging outlets. So what I have, when I took this panel off of the wall, I found a 12 volt positive and negative. It was unused, it was coiled up, and these were terminated behind the wall. So maybe it was for an option that was no longer installed in the ambulance, but it was definitely hidden behind the wall here. It had about another 8 feet of wire coiled up, which I've trimmed down, so I didn't need that excessive amount. One of the challenges is this is 10 gauge wire. It's very robust, very thick, and so what I'm wiring in are these two different outlet panels. This is a 4-port USB charging outlet, and what I've done here is these are your standard cigarette lighter adapter type. So I ordered some blank what do you call these, outlet covers. I ordered, I think it was a 5-pack, and I will link all of these items in the description. These are all Amazon, pretty inexpensive across the board, all of these things. So what I did, I took my step drill bit and I drilled 2 holes in this panel and was able to mount these. They just have a plastic locking ring, so you put the outlet through the hole and you thread that ring on and tighten it down. So these are very sturdy mounting here. So I've got 2 of those. So each one has its own electrical feed, and they came with a wire loom for each one with an inline fuse. Now I normally use these type of inline fuses, and this uses the older style barrel type, which is okay. I mean, I hate to just toss these out. I do have some of these older style fuses in my collection, so I can go ahead and use these. I don't anticipate I'm ever going to need to replace them, but just in case, I do have some of them. And then obviously I have a whole set of the medium size plug-in fuses. I actually just ordered a set, and I'll link that in the description too. I ordered a set from Amazon. I think it's 120 different fuses in several different amperage sizes. So what I have here are some of the tools that I use for this type of work. Wire stripper, crimper. That's my heat gun for doing the heat shrink tubing. I always do heat shrink tubing over any connections that I make. And obviously my solder gun, solder and flux right here. And then this is my holder, so if I'm going to be doing some soldering, especially on smaller wire, I'll use this stand here and put the wire across here, and it allows me to have a nice stable platform to do the soldering, so the wires aren't jumbling around. So I like to do my heat shrink tubing color coded, so positive will be red and negative will be black. Okay, picking back up here. So while they were cutting the grass, I went ahead and stripped the ends. So when you're using crimp connectors like this, you don't want your exposed wire to be too long, because as you know, when you go up into the terminal, if you have too much wire, it'll stick way up there and interrupt the plugging. So imagine if this spade is sliding into that female, but you have a bunch of wire protruding up there, that's going to be a problem. So what I do is, it's dependent on the gauge of the wire and which terminal I'm using. I'll usually test it. So that's very good right there. I don't know if you can see, I have just a little wire coming up, so I know I'm going to get a good positive contact, and it's not long enough that it's going to interrupt this spade plugging into the female terminal. Okay, so again, I'm going to have 3 wires coming together. So I have the 2 barrel fuses, and then I have the third, I don't know what these kind of fuses are called, let's just say standard plug type. Okay, so these 3 wires are going to come together and then go into one positive spade terminal. So this is going to be, what do I want to call it? Tricky. Okay, so 3 wires. I don't really like doing it like this, but because of the heavy gauge size, this 10 gauge wire, I mean, I could solder, and I may end up soldering if I don't like the way this comes out. You know, see, I don't even think this is gonna work. I can't get these 3 wires into that's the wrong terminal, first of all. Yeah, this is not, I'm afraid, not gonna work. Let me think about this for a minute. I could do spade terminals, ring terminals on all of them, and then put a bolt. Let me make sure you're in the shot here, or that I'm in the shot, I should say. Okay. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to put a ring terminal on the end of each wire, and then I'm going to put a small bolt and bolt them all together. My Ames Power pure sine inverter charger. That thing weighs 70 pounds. Wow. Careful when I'm heat shrinking in here, just to make sure I'm not pointing it at something. critical. Let's see how this comes out. Reduced down to the size of the one underneath it. It's pretty good shrinkage rate. Okay, but it's stopped. Alright, I'm gonna go get, oh, it's right here, my Tessa tape. This stuff is, I really like this stuff. It's more of a fabric type tape. If you're not familiar with it, I'll have the link down below. But it's grips to itself tremendously. Okay. So one of the things that I want to mention, you see how I'm really spending a lot of time with this. I think that's a point that I really want to make, that when you're doing any kind of electrical work, that it's critical that you do it correctly. You know, take your time. There's no that when you're doing electrical work, that you also take your time. If something doesn't feel right, redo it. If you don't know how to do it, ask someone, ask for help. If it's outside of your skill level, take it to a professional. You know, obviously if you can do that financially. But don't take shortcuts when it comes to electrical work. And there is not going to be any problem with these connections. These are crimped onto their terminals very solidly. They're bolted together. They're double heat shrinked. Now they've got protective tape over them. I'm gonna secure mount the wires to the body of the truck. And now look at how I'm going to attach this to the wall. So what I'm thinking is, you know, this is some old unused oxygen tubes. I don't want to remove them because I don't know if down the road there'd be a reason that I could use them. So I'm thinking that I'm going to mount this, you know, something like this. There we go. So I'll mount. Go. I started using flux. Man, way better soldering. Easier, faster, a lot better flow. I don't know how I was ever soldering without it. So I cleaned my tip on the soldering gun this morning, filed it up real good. See how fast. Ooh. that. No? It's on there. Not my prettiest, but it worked. Okay. Great. So now I quickly bend this over. Slide my heat shrink up. Okay, left. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, that was a delivery. I believe those are our wallpapers. Stick-on wallpapers. So I have these two sets of positive and negative for these, and this set of positive and negative for this. So this is wired in. This comes through here. And this comes through here. Side up. Doesn't matter really right now. Okay. And then I'll so this is going to go up here. Got some. If you're not comfortable with how it's coming out, stop and rethink it and go at it again. You know, once this wall is finished, these wires are out of sight and I may never see them again. So I want to make sure that they're all perfect. That's it for today.